Hi, everyone. We are here in Coronado Leadership. I am your host, Marcos Coronado. And today we're going to talk about a great topic with a great friend in mind. His name is Matt Kim. Hi, Kim. Matt Kim.
Hey, how's it going, Dr. Marcos? It's good to be with you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very excited, very grateful, to be with you today and for you, to be open, to share with all this great audience of people, that are watching us. So thank you. Thank
Oh,
you.
thanks for having me.
And today we have a great topic that we are going to discuss. It's about relational IQ. It's a great topic, and I think it's something that it's a hot trending topic, among and across generations. So relational IQ, building authentic connections in a disconnected world. I think that today, we depend so much on technology, on the digital world, that sometimes we disconnect from the people that surround us. So the first person, that I thought, that could add so much value on this, it was Matt Kim. He is a digital content creator, marketing expert. And so he has built a great brand, and a great connection, based on authenticity, how to relate with people. So I know that the message that he has for us today is going to be great. So awesome, Matt. The first question, that I want to introduce today with all of you and with you is, what do you think is relational IQ? So how can you define it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in our modern world, like we've really kind of explored a lot of different kinds of aspects of the human experience. We have, like regular IQ, which is like intellectual quotient. So it's pertaining to, your analytical skills, like cerebral intelligence, I like to call it. And then we've even explored up to like EQ, where there's like emotional quotient. And so like, how am I advancing as far as like my emotional abilities, and then that kind of brings us, I think, to relational intelligence, which I think would take it a step further, and so I would define it as like your ability to really connect to other people. Like my cerebral intelligence is really just my personal ability, and so is my emotional intelligence, but kind of the application of that in human relationships, I think, is relational intelligence. And so it's like, how am I able to employ the different aspects of who I am, whether it's my analytical skills, whether it's my like emotional intelligence, communication. How can I employ all of these things, bring it together for the purpose of being able to really create a bridge between two parties and connect in a very authentic way.
Wow, that's awesome. I think it's a great ability, and intelligence, very important, You said that it's an ability to connect, to build a bridge, between two person or many people. So what do you think about this idea that many people communicate or are very good communicating, but few really connect with people? Do you think this is true, or what do you think about it?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very like accurate diagnosis of our modern world and even our generation. And you mentioned social media earlier. I think social media has done a lot to help us kind of connect to people we otherwise wouldn't have. And at the same time, I think it's kind of impaired our ability to have like social skills and connect relationally. And I think part of that is because there are so many things that happen when we're having like a face-to-face interaction or even like in-person interaction that gets lost in our online interactions. And so I think especially the younger generation that's grown up mainly knowing social media as a very primary form of creating relationships, I think can be a little lacking in that area. Not to mention even like anywhere from like millennial to like Gen X that kind of age range, they've also, I think, over the years lost touch with um, uh, some of the more like kind of in-depth ways of communicating that are nonverbal.
Yeah.
Like when we communicate on social media, a lot of it has to do with words, but
Yes.
man, like I think what 70% of communication is nonverbal. It's
Yeah.
it's it's the emotion of the moment, it's your facial expressions, it's your body language and posture, and all of these things are like also communicating. And so like when we're kind of in a world where we're primarily communicating with just words, in a place that's it's digital, it's online. I think it's kind of made it harder for us to grow in relational intelligence. And so I mean I would say your assessment of where we're at is like very, very accurate.
Okay. You know what? You have a great point there. It's like how image, or video is replacing, the power of words. That's real stuff, that you're sharing. It's like I always like try to defend, the this let's say primary thing, about words, because at the end, words is what is the way that how can we really express, our feelings, our thoughts, and whatever, But now, with all this social media and all this technology and whatever, it's like images and videos are trying to replace that kind, and they are like more relevant, in the communication process right now, So yeah, I agree with you, about this. And what do you think is becoming more important, the relational IQ today, in leadership, in business, and in these areas, where you have a lot of experience,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, man, what I love about the spirit of relational intelligence, because it does have a point, is the whole point of relational intelligence is to connect. And I think if you look at our kind of modern world that's been really shaped by the West and how, industrious and maybe even capitalistic we can be, I mean, it's done a lot for society, and I'm grateful for that. And at the same time, we lose a lot of our humanity, like in pursuit of more. And
Yes.
so when you kind of live in a world where we filter everything by how useful something is, or how much money something can make, or how successful you can be from it, we get kind of disconnected from the human aspect that kind of transcends just utility, and it also incorporates like beauty and things that can't be quantified. It's more
Yes.
qualitative. And so I love relational intelligence because it puts a emphasis back on kind of our human nature, our human essence, that you can't always put a number on that. Because I mean, you could put a number on, I guess, your IQ, and that's very useful. And even
Yes.
emotional intelligence is very useful. But then a lot of times when we're so kind of absorbed in how useful something can be, we create situations that aren't always fruitful.
Yes.
It's like we could win an argument on social media, but lose somebody's trust. We could like make our point and really like use our IQ and use our EQ to like win something, or like win a situation, but we won the battle, but we're losing the war. And I think that's where like relational intelligence, especially like you were alluding to this aspect of leadership, is such an important thing, because what we're saying is like, look, like I want to be connected. Like I don't want to just like win this argument and lose connection. Like I want to make sure that like we're moving forward together. And so I think in a leadership capacity, it's like vitally important, because you're saying like your lot is my lot, and we're like in this together. And nothing can communicate that more than being like relationally intelligent, to say that, you know what, like you might not be understanding me right now, but I'm going to try my best to understand you. And where can we find like common ground? Like where could we like come to a place of connection, and let's work from there, because there has to be something that we can relate to. There has to be something that we can, connect to. And so I think, that authenticity is like a beginning place. And relational intelligence just reprioritizes the point of all of this anyways.
Yes, I love everything you just said, because in leadership is about influence, but if we want to really influence people or being influenced by other people, positively, we need relational IQ. It's like we have to connect first, before leading others, and sometimes why not, to connect within ourselves too, because we live in this so much connection, in the digital world that sometimes we miss the connections with ourselves and of course with other people. So yeah, that's awesome, that you just share, with us. And another thing is like, what is the difference, between being liked and being truly connected? I think it's something that is related with many of the things that we are talking about, but what is the difference? Because today is like many people are just focused, in branding and how to be relevant, and across generations, different kind of audiences. But how about really connect with the story? We have heard that stories are the things that really connect in a deeper level, with people. So what do you think about this?
Yeah.
How important is to build on that, in that kind of authenticity?
Right. I mean, I think it's everything. It's like if you don't, it's just hollow. It's empty. I mean, I could just share from like some of my, story. Talk about
That would be
stories.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so growing up. So I'm Korean. I'm Korean American. So I was born in America, but we moved back and forth between here and Korea growing up. And so I had kind of a interesting upbringing where I felt somewhat American, but I definitely felt Korean, but I didn't feel completely one or the other. It was mixed, right? And so because of that, like I didn't feel like anyone could really relate to me growing up. In America, my friends growing up, I'm like, you don't know what it feels like to feel like, a foreigner in a country you were born in. And then I'm in Korea and I'm like, these are like my people, but I have such a different like life experience. No one can really relate to me. And so one of the biggest like desires in my heart growing up was like wanting to be seen and wanting to be known. But growing up, because I didn't have a strong, like secure sense of identity, my identity was very unstable because we moved a lot and I was just confused between these two parts of who I was. I really kind of sought to find approval from my friends and to fit in and belong. And I tried my best to make that happen, but it wasn't authentic. And so for me, like I wasn't mature enough to recognize that, like I just have a different experience than my friends. For me, I'm like, why can't I relate? Like, why can't I fit in? And so I tried to force myself like to fit into these like social situations. And at the time, it was like, I didn't realize how exhausting it was because I was basically just an actor trying to live real life as a different character.
Wow.
And when I would have moments of like, approval from my friends or some sort of validation, I thought that would satisfy this longing for, belonging. But when I actually got the thing that I was trying to perform for, it was so empty because it never spoke to who I really was. It only spoke to the character that I created. And so I couldn't even receive the affirmation because it wasn't directed at me. It was directed at this fake person that I've generated. And I feel like that's what's happening in our world today, which is that we create like a fake character online. We create like a fake persona in our professional life. And when we get rewarded for performing within that kind of system, it actually doesn't impact us the way that we thought. And it's actually kind of draining and exhausting because none of it is authentic and none of it's sustainable. And so I think, like, to your point, authenticity is becoming such an important currency in this age that we're living in, because I think that really has the power to change. It has the power to impact people. Like unironically, we live in an influencer generation.
Yes.
And I don't have a huge platform, but my platform's been slowly, growing over time. And what I'm realizing is like, man, like we really have kind of idolized being an influencer.
Yes.
We really haven't, given the care and attention to what kind of influence we're having.
Yeah.
It's like, is the influence we're having good
Yeah.
ultimately, or is it kind of creating more of the same, like clones, and creating more noise in the sea of social media? And so I think the starting place should be like authenticity. And I love what you said earlier, which I think is so powerful, is like man, like what about having like a relationship with myself? Like what about having a connection to myself? Because if I think that's the starting place. Is like, if I don't have that, then
Yes.
how do I know what kind of interaction I'm having with someone else?
Yes.
Because a lot of times, like, these things sneak up on us. Like, I'll get lost trying to please other people, thinking
Yeah.
that I'm creating authentic connections, when a lot of that is like veiled with inauthenticity, not on purpose, not intentionally, but only because like I actually didn't take the time to really connect to me.
Yes.
And so yeah, that authenticity piece is so powerful. And I think if we could get that, then man, I'm even like dreaming out into the future. I'm like, man, like what would a world look like where everybody was in touch with their authentic selves, and they understood like the unique value that they bring into a community, they bring into an industry, like that kind of transformative power where like everyone owns their difference is
Yeah.
so powerful. And so I think, man, I'm looking forward to a future where that's the trajectory, and that's the future that we're heading towards. And
And
yeah.
I think that it really, everything that you just have been sharing, it's very powerful, for the new generations, of people, of leaders to really build, their lives, under this authenticity, because that is solid, because that's where people, can really become real, to be
Yeah.
the real selves, and that's powerful, it's not trying to please people, not trying to have, validation from people, but first to know ourselves, and build on that. So I love that, how you said that, that authenticity is a new currency today. It's like, yeah, that's real, and if we look for the future, that people are like more authentic, or are authentic, not more authentic, like they are authentic. It's
They
like,
are. Yeah.
wow, many industries, for sure, will be transformed, and that's very positive. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is, very important in how, in building our lives and building relationships, because it's relational IQ. So it's about not just about us. Of course, it's about how we relate ourselves too, because we are like in our personal lives, we have like a vision, of the future, and we are like a community in ourselves, because we are propagating ourselves into the future, and we have to learn how to relate with us, and in the process, of becoming, that future version, that we have envisioned, but that's kind of powerful too. But then how, in that process, how to relate to others, because we are not designed to be alone. We are designed to always relate it, to be surrounded, to connect with other people. Yeah. So what can you say, in your personal journey, also, as an entrepreneur, how important is this, and how important is to build key relationships in order to succeed and to grow and to become, the person, the vision you have for yourself. How important is that? I don't know if
Yeah. No, absolutely. I'm like my head's spinning. I love this, and especially like that entrepreneurial spin because
Yeah.
that's very much been part of my journey is like growing as an entrepreneur. So part of my journey is that I actually dropped out of college to start a business, and it took me a while to kind of get the ball rolling and get it to the place that it's at today. And thank God it's at a place where we're doing a lot of business, lots of projects are rolling in, and we're blessed. But the journey to get there was a journey of discovery. And I think
Yes.
that's a word that is so important. And that's something that it's not just a season, it should be like a lifestyle where we're always trying to learn and to be a student of life and grow. And the reason that was so necessary for me, I think, was because and I wish somebody told me this when I was younger, because the truth is that in your pursuit of discovering what are your strengths, like what is your purpose and what are you created to do in this life, something that no one tells you is that part of you discovering that is actually going to happen in the context of the people that you were created for. I think a lot of times in our modern self-help world, you could
Yes.
just YouTube a video and figure something out, and we've grown very independent, and instead of interdependent. And
Yeah.
and what I realized was that there was so much more of myself to discover when I began serving other people.
Yes.
When I first started my business, my main questions was around, okay, what is my business? What am I offering? How am I going to make the money? What is my revenue model? All of these things that are important, but I think the greater underlying like question is like, who am I called to and what value am I giving to them? And when I started asking those questions, I actually began to even transform as an entrepreneur, and I became a better version of who I already was. And so for me, like I like to think of myself as a creative problem solver. And so when I'm working with other businesses, I'm realizing, oh, like these people are looking for a solution beyond what they're able to kind of ideate right now. They've hit a wall. So my ability to be a creative problem solver is helping these people break through their business problems. And so even though my offering is based off of media, how am I using the media in order to creatively problem solve and help them get to the next place in their business? And so once I connected the dots, I'm like, oh man, I thought my business was about me, but really my business is about them. And
Yes.
so that's such a powerful, I think, revelation of our gifts, because I think our gifts, they're not really meant for us. Honestly, we have our gifts. It belongs to us, so we could use it for ourselves whenever we want. But once we figure out that our gifts are actually meant for other people, then that's where we get unlocked into a greater, measure of who we even are. Is like we get upgraded when we find ourselves in the right context of service for other people.
Wow, that's powerful, man. Inspiring because it's not like a mind shift, a mindset shift. It's like since the beginning you were thinking, about more about you, but then you discover, that it's not about you, it's about others. And sometimes it's hard, to figure it out, that, it's like and difficult, because I think it is not easy, It's like you are trying to put together, a great business where you are supposed to create a great source, of income and just
Right.
thinking in so many products or services, and then to build. But then oh my God, it's not about me. It's about how to provide value to others, and that's servant leadership, is how important, and that's how relationships are embedded, and in that process, how important they are. Because sometimes we think that, for example, I always say, with people, with students, and it's like, it just take one relationship to put you in another dimension, in a new level, in everything. It can foster you, or it can ruin you too. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, it's like we have to be really intentional, it's the power of relationships, and how to relate with people and yeah. What do you
Yeah.
think about this,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's kind of like it's very mysterious. I think relationships are very mysterious because it's like so long as you're connected to someone to a certain degree, and I'm not saying completely, right? But to a certain degree, two actually become one.
Yeah,
At least for the duration of that interaction or whatever the scope of that relationship is. So in that context, two's become one. That's like that's profound. That's really profound because on one hand, like I am retaining my individuality, but on the other hand, when I'm saying I'm connecting to someone, I'm saying I'm willing to let go of certain aspects of my individuality in favor of becoming one with you. And again, not to make it really weird, but like you think about what it means to connect to someone, you're creating a channel where there's commerce. I'm trying to use like business language, like there's an exchange that's happening, and so now you've created like an ecosystem between two parties where there's like reciprocity and exchange that's happening, and there's a flow that develops, and so a lot of times like our inability to experience that reality of like two becoming one is because we're so married to retaining our individuality. I want to stay one. Well, hey, look, like if you want to stay one, I mean, Dr. Marcos, like you're married, like you know exactly what that's like, right? It's like in a marriage, like if you hold so tightly to your individuality, that marriage isn't gonna work. But
yeah,
there's like this thing of compromise to say that, look, like I'm gonna put my individuality, at least this part of it that's getting in the way right now, I'm gonna put it on the shelf and let's kind of come together and see where we can like grow and like have a win-win situation. And that's like the reality of relationships is like it does come at the expense of like a certain level of individuality that we might feel entitled to. But
yeah,
what we realize when we kind of go down this path of like connection is like, man, there's actually a reward that's far greater on the other side. And I'm gonna come out on this other side of this connection and this relationship, actually accentuating and heightening my sense of self, my sense of individuality. It's gonna be transformed because it's now informed by something greater than just myself.
wow. And it takes a lot of humility, to be able to create that kind of connection, with
Yeah.
other. As you said, in marriage, of course, we have to be able to sometimes to really acknowledge, that sometimes we don't have the answer, and the other people, or the other person, in this case, my wife, she has the answer for some problem, and I have to be humbled, enough to recognize that, and to be humble, and yeah, let's do it. It's like going together, in that kind of journey, in order to keep solving other kind of problems,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of humility, and I think it's something that in relationships is key, to have that kind of, and also, empathy, and so many things, that are like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's like sometimes we are like afraid, to lose that kind of individuality to them. That the thing that you were saying,
Yeah.
but it's about relationships too, and
Yeah. Well, actually, Dr. Marcos, like you hit on something there I think is really profound. You said like afraid, like we feel afraid.
yes,
And I think that might be one of the most like primary like motivating factors of like us choosing to stay insulated and
yes,
choosing the individuality, because for us, like we know us, I think at least we think we know us, and we know the ways that we operate, and it's comfortable and it seems to work, for us anyways, because that's our preference, our design, the way that we are. But when we're like, man, like when we're stepping into a place where we're working with other people or we're depending on other people, it's the fear component of like, are they gonna let me down? Like, do
Yeah.
they have my best interests in mind? Like, do they love me enough to like choose me even if like there's shortcomings or there are situations where like, it's not perfect. And I think it's that fear that keeps most people from opening up, and I think a lot of times like we've created walls as we've lived life. Certain experiences informed us and like it's taught us to fear, and so like we've created like certain walls without realizing that those same walls that keep things outside are actually keeping us trapped inside. And I think it's kind of our ability to kind of open our, ultimately it's our hearts, like open our hearts up again to be like, you know what, this feels a little risky and really scary to like trust again, but I gotta try. Like I gotta try to trust and see if this person is gonna like be someone that has my best interest in mind, and we can like really have this mutual connection where we're prioritizing each other so that we can like grow and overcome these things. And I think what's beautiful is like we discover, like we learn, it's almost like a re-education process. We actually being re-educated that like people are actually a lot better than we think they are. They're a lot like better than our past experiences, and it's actually it's a really deep and profound re-education on how amazing human beings are.
Yes. And what about, sometimes, when we relate to others, in work, in business, and family, and whatever, the context, everything is like easier, when things are like functioning, well, and all the things are going on, flowing, we are like in a flow state, with people, and the goals, are achieved, the results are good, positive, whatever. But what about when things are not going so well, What about when the conflict, is there, and emerge, What about that? That's when real, let's say, connection and in relationships is like put it to test, What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm of the belief that like a virtue, whether it's patience or love or understanding, like compassion, a virtue isn't really valuable unless it's demonstrated in the opposition. So like, for example, like if I'm demonstrating patience, but everything's going according to plan and on my timeline, that's not really patience, right? Like patience is only patience when things are not going according to plan and things are like delayed and things like that. And it's the same thing for compassion. Is like, okay, like it's very easy to have quote unquote compassion when everybody is complimenting each other and we all agree with each other and things are going smoothly. That's not really compassion. That's just everyone having a good old time. But to your point, when things are the opposite, when people are misunderstanding you, when people have wronged you, can you still open your heart to consider things from their perspective, like having real compassion? Like that would be a virtue to me. And so I think like to your point, it's like the legitimacy of a virtue is only like validated when there's hardships. Like how do I know you really love me? It's actually demonstrated when things are tough. How do I know that you're actually not going to leave me? It's when there's situations that arise where you could leave me. And how do I know that we're in this together? Is when you stick around, when situations get less than ideal. And it's in those situations that we actually demonstrate not just to each other, but to ourselves, like what we're made of. Right? Man, like I'm made of love, like I'm made of compassion, like I'm made of patience. And this situation helped me prove that and help me demonstrate that. And it's a powerful thing. And so that even helps us, I think, reframe negative situations. A lot of times like we have like a crisis reaction of like, and I think part of it is very like, it's neurological. Like it might have to do with traumas, right? It might have to do with like kind of the muscle memory of our lived experiences. But if we could kind of reframe that mindset, and every time something happens that's less than ideal, or that's negative, or that's considered a hardship, man, the powerful reframe would be, oh wow, this is actually like testing me. This is actually helping me demonstrate what I'm made of. Like, what am I made of? And I think that kind of mindset kind of transforms how we operate from being like almost like victimized by our circumstances
Yes.
to taking some level of ownership, being like, no, this is an opportunity. Like, this is a really good opportunity. And I'm not saying it's easy. I make it sound flowery, but
Yeah, I know.
it's true nonetheless, where like if we could take a moment and be like, this is an opportunity for me to like show up and express what I'm made of, because I know like there's love in there. Like I know there's, you know, grit and perseverance in there, resilience in there. Let that come out to the surface. Man, we would live very, you know, empowered, transformative, and impactful lives.
Yes, I love that, that approach, that's, I know that sometimes, that like you just said, it sounds like, oh my God, it's like a paradise, it's like it's so easy, to do it, but no, in real life, that's tough, and but that kind of hardships, allow us to grow, and it's about that, it's to grow even in that times, of adversity, of even crisis or painful experiences, how to switch or how to see that kind of to change that kind of negative situations, that, let's say, negative situations, that but to transform them into an opportunity to grow. And but that it takes time, of course, it takes effort,
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
it's worth
yeah,
it.
well, that's exactly right. I think it takes time, it takes energy, but the thing that'll sustain you is vision. Like when you said it's worth it, it's like, how do I know it's worth it? Is because I could imagine a future where things will be different. What is
Yes.
That's vision. And I think when things are hard, like vision sustains us. There's something in physics called it's called escape velocity. And essentially, like if you have a planet like Earth, for example, and you're trying to launch a rocket out of Earth into space, right? Because of Earth's gravity, it's going to take more force the closer you are to Earth. And as you get higher into the atmosphere, it's going to take less force to escape the Earth's gravitational pull. And I think our hardships are much like that. Is like initially at the very beginning, it's going to take the most energy, the most thrust, the most momentum. But as we like get further out into the atmosphere, we reach escape velocity. And so it's easier to kind of come out of this pattern that's been holding us down, this cycle that's been holding us down. And so just knowing that could be half the battle, because it gives us a vision for the future to know, oh, you know what? If I just keep at it, I will like transform, like I will shift my circumstances, and it doesn't have to remain the same, because the discouragement comes in the beginning. It's like, oh, this isn't worth it. None of this is gonna matter. It's not really changing anything. But if we have a vision for the future, I think that's what's gonna help us kind of persevere and see it through to the end.
Yes, I love that. That approach is like, at the beginning, there is always more resistance, and that resistance is part of the process. Yeah, I love that. All the illustration, that you just share. But sometimes it's difficult, to acknowledge even that. It's like, because we always tend or try to have the things like in an easy way. And of course today, the new generations, they're trying like to take things like in an easier way. I'm not saying that is bad, but
Yeah.
but let's say that the best things in life, that take time, take time to be there, to arrive there, to materialize that vision of the future that you were saying. That it takes time, effort. It's hard. It's not easy. It would take, a lot of sacrifice. It would take a lot of responsibility. it would take a lot of, many hard things, and changes, that are hard.
Yeah.
Changes in our way of thinking, changes in our way, that we behave, in our habits, so many things. How we relate to others, how we connect to others, how we behave to others, and that's the hard stuff, that we have to deal. Everyone have to deal, in a normal basis, day, what we do, in our daily lives, in order to keep like growing and growing in that vision, that we have imagined,
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say like the things that you put your time and energy into, like every time you do, you're actually increasing its value. Like you're saying like oh, like this is valuable, and so I'm putting more into it. And so like I mean I would venture to say, like Dr. Marco, is like, since the day you got married till today, you've probably invested more into your relationship since then until now. And I would imagine, and you could tell me, confirm or deny, like since then, like you probably view your marriage with your wife as more valuable than you did when you first got married. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's true. It's so long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
And
at the beginning, it's like when you start dating, it's like, all the, let's say, the romantic side, like we get in love, and it's like a kind of easier, because it's where couples, are trying to fit together, to have and spend great times together. And I think it takes like a less energy in some way. I think because there's like more, it's like easier. But then you get married, it's a different stage, but it's when we have to be more intentional, to keep love, in a relationship, at the core of a relationship, to be more intentional in activities, in our how we express, love, to each other, what are the things that let's say my wife value, and she has to acknowledge too, what are the things that I value, in order to keep building on that. And when the children, came, to our marriage, it's different, because it's like, and it takes more energy, more effort, more time, because when you have children, time, for couples, tends to go like to less, and then you have to be like more intentional about that, more creative, in order like to sustain, to each other, but at the same time to connect and to raise, our children together, and yeah, of course, it takes more energy, more effort, but again, it's something that it's worth it, because that it's worth it, and it's part of our of your vision and our vision. You do it
exactly. That's
because
so good.
It's like that how meaningful is to live like that, to build something, that is not just about you, like you were saying before, that was powerful, but it's about us, my wife and I, and about them, our children. So, the best, I think, the relationships, how we relate to others, is so important, because that it starts at the core of the family. It's like our first models,
That's right.
Relationships model is our parents. Then our siblings. We start like how to self-regulate, how to relate others, how to play together, because everything is like a play, like we start to play, together with other people. And also it's like learning how to dance. It's like a dance, and it's about rhythm. It's about, really experiencing and enjoying, the dance together. And sometimes the music, like, it goes like faster, sometimes slower.
Yeah.
And we have to really be really intentional and try to let's say, find and to figure out how to dance, according music, that it being played. I don't know, it's something that it was just
No, that's so good. Yeah, it's almost like the flexibility you need in order to have like healthy relationships. So
yeah.
you can't be rigid. Like you have to. That reminds me of like this quote. I think it was Albert Einstein. Like someone might have to fact check me on that. But Einstein said this. He said, "Creativity is your intellect having fun."
Oh yeah.
And I love that because I'm like, wow, like that's such a great way to put it. Because and I think it kind of puts a little emphasis on the need for creativity in our relationships. That it's not a formula. It's actually going to require us to be like innovative and like think outside the box of like, how do I need to, employ my gifts and my intellect and my emotions? How do I arrange these things in order to come up with like a solution for us to like have a thriving, like healthy, life-giving relationship? It's like that creativity component. Because really, like you're like mixing together different ingredients, like you said, like there's like different schedules, different personalities, like passions. You're mixing those things together, and so I think you need like a level of flexibility, but also like creativity. It's like just because we're solving problems doesn't mean we can't have fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we can't, be creative and think outside the box. And so like I love that. I love the way you describe that. Like the harmony and the flow of dancing to the music is so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I have like one question, that I wanted to ask you. What's one mindset shift, you would encourage our audience, to make today about relationships?
A mindset shift for the audience
Yeah.
to make. Yeah, I think one of the biggest mindset shifts, and we kind of touched on it, but I think which is like to consider others, but I do want to kind of expand on that a little bit because
Yeah.
we mentioned that in the past,
Yeah.
but I think what's important is like there is like a protocol, believe it or not, in terms of
Yeah.
relationship. And I think if we could get that protocol right, we'll actually have thriving relationships. And you alluded to this earlier, which is this idea of like being connected to myself as an individual first, and then from that position, being able to kind of expand this personal boundary to encompass other people. But the reason that like that has to happen in that kind of order is because I mean, I don't know if you guys ever met people or people in your life who like kind of lack a degree of like self-awareness.
Yeah.
and, and those are the people that are the hardest to connect to because they're kind of out of touch with themselves. And that kind of like lack of self-awareness, believe it or not, it comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes.
Yes.
There are certain types of people that even are, for example, like people pleasers. I
Yes.
used to be that. So in your mind, you might be convincing yourself, oh, I think of other people all the time because I'm trying to like serve them and cater to them, and I'm very generous. And so your frame of mind and your self-perception is I'm generous and I'm thinking of others, but because of that, you did it at the expense of yourself, and so that's not necessarily like healthy either. And so there's a lot of different forms and what that looks like in terms of like self-denial. And there's a way to like sacrifice. Like sacrifice is a very important, I think, component of relationships. But my challenge to you would be like, if your assets were never fully in your possession, then would you giving that up by accident be considered a sacrifice, or would it be considered negligence?
Wow.
And I think a lot of times like what we consider sacrifice isn't necessarily sacrifice, because those things that we're giving up in preference of other people, they were never really fully in our possession yet. And so we have to like fully apprehend ourselves as an individual first, so that when we kind of lay our lives down, it's a willing, intentional, deliberate act, and we're doing it from a position of like an actualized state. I've actualized myself, and so when I lay something down, it's meaningful because I'm actually choosing to do it versus doing it either by accident or as a function of just circumstantially. It's from an empowered place, and so it's this reality that yes, I am serving other people, but I'm doing it as myself. Like I don't ever lose my individuality, but I'm
Yes.
integrating my individuality into a bigger picture, and so then I need to like really spend the time to like figure myself out a little bit, to really be like, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. I'm gonna own it, and I'm gonna have a healthy sense of self first, and in so doing, I'm actually better preparing myself to like integrate into a bigger picture. So by the time I bring my piece of the puzzle into the bigger picture, it actually can kind of fit together really nicely, because I know what I'm working with. And so it's not, you can't deny yourself if you don't have a self. So
Yeah.
it's a recognition that like I will always have a self to deal with. Like I am an individual, um, and I have to kind of explore that to its furthest extent, as best as I can, in a spirit of discovery, so that I'm like in the best position, to be relational and connect to other people.
Wow. What is an let's say before we end, like a normal practice, in a daily basis, that people can put in practice, for our audience, our great audience, uh, how they can grow in their relational IQ. Like let's say
Yeah.
a small action, a small habit, that they can put in practice, to increase in relational IQ. What would you say?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, there's so many,
or
especially in like
many, come
different
on.
avenues. Yeah, yeah. But I think if I were to think of an overarching one that could be very practical or like helpful immediately, it would be like to ask questions. And I know we talked about this, with discovery and things like that. But more specifically, like just to begin to ask questions like of why. Like, why are they saying, like, if I don't understand something, like
Yeah.
our instinct is to like judge it and be like, oh, they're saying this because of this. But then to kind of pull back and ask yourself, like, are they saying this because of this? Or what are some
Yeah.
other possible reasons they could be saying this? Because that kind of opens us up to really understand them. Because most likely, when we judge people, it's usually from our lens. So we're really just projecting like our patterns onto people. But if you really want to like grow in relational intelligence, then you got to ask more questions.
Yeah.
Ask it of them, but then also like we got to ask it of ourselves. And so like a practice that I like to do is, and I don't know, like different people might have a different capacity for this, but literally in my head, I imagine me outside of my body
Yeah.
looking at myself and another person and the interaction that we're having. And
Yes.
that kind of simple, kind of imaginative
Yes.
exercise helps me kind of pull back and be a little more objective of like, okay, how did this interaction go down? What were the different factors involved? What would
Yes.
cause me to react this way? And what would cause the other party to like respond this way? And it helps me really like arrange all the kind of information that I need to really get the bigger picture. Because most of like relational friction, believe it or not, it actually comes from a place of misunderstanding. It's like rarely
Yeah.
do people have a conflict where they
Yeah.
fully understand each other.
And sometimes what do you think is sometimes it's because we don't speak the truth, maybe, or we are
Mm,
not precise with our words,
yeah,
articulating, the message that can help the other person to really understand, what is
yeah,
our the truth,
yeah,
about ourselves, about a situation, about something, and yeah, it's to unveil, the truth, that is being spoken, between the person, I think, or more. Like
yeah.
I love that approach to, like
Okay.
like being an outside observant, of
Yeah, yeah,
process, and to try to really understand the message, of the other person, their emotions, behavior or whatever, that's about being intentional. I think it's
Yeah.
really intentional, doing that kind of process, that
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
share.
And it's like what you said earlier. It's like it's an act of humility because you're basically saying is I'm not the main character of reality. Like I am my main character, but I am like, I'm just one piece of the puzzle in this human story that I'm
Yeah,
participating in.
and you said something deep there. It's like how to really make the right or the proper interpretation of reality. It's like the process. Like
Yeah.
to really try to understand what
Yeah.
happened or what is
Yeah.
happening.
Exactly. Yeah. You're trying to process it all. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love it. Matt, I don't know if you have something, a thought or something that you will share, before we end.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think I would want to encourage like anybody watching, look, like life is beautiful. Like despite what we see on the news and on the social media, I know it's getting crazy. It is, and that's just it is what it is. But the reality is like when we get lost in that, we actually abdicate, our ability to make a change in our own lives. And we have enough troubles in our own lives to worry about. And so like my encouragement to you is like, man, like making a difference, like being growth minded, it's worth it because life has the potential to be really awesome, and really beautiful. And so like that kind of vision, like let it motivate you, like develop your vision for your life, because man, like there's life can be so much better, and it will be. And so yeah, so take that kind of individual responsibility seriously, and just be encouraged that like things can change, things will change, like as we're active participants in life.
Awesome. I love it. Matt, if there is a website or social media where people can find you and connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Matt Kim official on all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then it's mattkimofficial.com is my website, and then we could connect there.
Awesome. To all the audience, feel free, to connect, to take some time, to look into the different social media, website from Matt. I know that he will provide so much value, that's for sure, like all the value that he provided today for us. Thank you very much to everyone, that follows in this new episode of Coronado Leadership. And remember, leadership is about relationships. It's not just something about position, It's about relationships, about influencing others and being influenced by other people, So see you next time. And thank you very much, Matt, again,
Thank you for having me.
being with us. Thank you.